Welcome back to the Side Street Grill and the Eagles Sports Coaches Show. I'd like to remind our radio listeners you're listening to this, and of course at the top of the hour, the Eagles will be taking on Xavier. So this will continue throughout the next hour on radio from 6 to 7 p.m. But we appreciate everyone coming to the Side Street Grill. Greg Orrell, associate head coach from Morehead State, has joined us. And Greg, great run by the volleyball team this year. Really made some strides in making an NCAA tournament. How was the feeling last week?
It was a great run. It feels good to finally accomplish a number of our goals, to win our conference championship and get into the NCAA first round. And we ended up playing well. So couldn't be more excited for our future, and couldn't be happier that we performed at a very high level at the end of the season.
Purdue, very tough place to play. They were rocking on Friday night.
Absolutely, and it was actually a great atmosphere. Their student section is amazing. A lot of good cheers, and they were also very considerate. They weren't derogatory or anything like that. It was just a great atmosphere to play in. We also had, at least 100 fans there of our own. So it was an electric atmosphere, a very good place to play a first-round match. So,
what? Tell us a little bit about how you played. I know that they won in 3 sets, but it was close.
Yeah, the first couple games, the first half of each game, they got out to about a 15-10 lead, and really at that level, when you're playing the number 5 team in the country, it's a very tactical game. So they ended up scoring, 3 points to our 2, when really if we wanted to really put pressure on them, we needed to be outscoring them 3-2. But they got out to about a 15-10 lead in each of the first 2 games, and then were able to pull away from there. I think, we were within a few points. We were down 17-15 in game 2, and then they went on a run of 8 straight points and really clamped us down at the end of that game. But then game 3, we turned it around. Again, we got a little behind, got down 19-12, but, started to fight back. We actually started doing what we needed to do offensively to really compete. We had 18 kills and pulled within 23-22 before, losing 25-23. So we were right there in the end.
Did nerves have some effect early on, you think?
A little bit, but I think Purdue did very well tactically at attacking us in certain areas, knowing that we were going to, cheat towards the middles and then, set the ball outside and get some one-on-one looks with, one of the best players in the country against one blocker. It's hard to defend. So once we made some adjustments defensively, we started to get into a better flow of digging balls and then transitioning for kills.
Worked hard since July, and Jamie, when he came here, visited, taking it one match at a time. Mm-hmm. You got through the Ohio Valley Conference tournament, mm-hmm. regular season champion, set a record 19-1 in the regular season. Then you win the OVC tournament, advancing to the NCAA tournament for the first time. Special bunch, as Jamie said. They probably won't know how special they are 2 years on, but a real good bunch to work with.
Absolutely. They keep it fun. Every day in practice it's an enjoyment to be around them and to train them. They want to work hard. They want to get better, and that's all you can ask for a team. And so we're definitely going to miss Liz and Emma. They've been a great core of this program for the last 4 years. They provide a lot of energy, a lot of consistency, and a lot of fire. We're going to miss 2 great athletes.
They will be the one who sets the bar. I mean, they've been some great players in volleyball history here at Morehead State University, but they are the 2 seniors that got it done, got to play in the NCAA tournament.
Absolutely, and again, they've set the bar now even higher. So we look ahead to next year and next few years. What our goals are is to win one of those games in the NCAA tournament and advance. Even if we have to get that at-large bid and start beating, the bigger conference teams on a more regular basis.
Only 2 seniors You got 3 juniors coming back. Got a great nucleus coming back.
Absolutely. And that was the thing, that we had a lot of depth this year, and we were able to utilize some of our freshmen and sophomores in more supportive roles. And, even we needed to even lean on them for a couple matches to win a couple close ones at Austin Peay and at Southeast Missouri. So we even at EKU, we definitely needed our freshmen. So now they've got some significant playing time and will be in a better suited position to help us compete again next year.
I know Jamie was complimentary of his staff last week, talking about how hard you all work, and he's probably a taskmaster at times to work for. How is it to work for him? I mean, really, what's he like as a coach?
No, Jamie's great.
Well, they're laughing over there.
Yeah,
they're getting ready to tell the whole story, I think.
Absolutely. No, Jamie's great to work for. We have our goals set. We have tests we have to do every week. I take care of the recruiting part of it, and then also the scouting of our opponents, and really making sure we're in a good position defensively as to what we need to take care of, and then we also look at offensively what we need to do each week. We work really well. I think Jamie and I are able to sit down and talk to each other. Hey, this is what we really need to get done this week. This is what we want to focus on. This is what we want to focus on recruiting, and the whole thing comes together really well.
Well, the girls will hit the books.
Yep.
Finals next week.
That's right.
Then, what is spring like for a volleyball coach?
Over the break, we tell them to get some active rest, is to let your body heal from the long season, but also not to just sit on your butt and not do anything. We want them to make sure that they stay healthy, but also stay active and not lose all the gains we made strength-wise and conditioning-wise over the season. In the spring, we have about 4 to 6 weeks of individual training, so we'll get the players in by position and work on specific skills for each player that they need to work on. And they do weights and conditioning 3 to 5 times a week. That's where we make significant gains as far as strength and speed and jumping. And then at the end of February, early March, we do 6 weeks of actual team training. We'll have our non-traditional season and a couple of tournaments that we'll play in.
You and Jamie also out on the road a lot, probably looking at either players that you want or maybe the younger classes.
Absolutely. We actually signed 2 players for next fall already to take Emma and Liz's place. We have Courtney Smith, a big 6-foot outside coming from Bowling Green, Kentucky. She led her high school to the state championship game. And then Hannah Sagala is coming from the north side of Cincinnati, 6'1" middle, very physical kid. And so those guys will be able to help us next fall. But again, we don't say, hey, we're going to lean on these freshmen. We look at the core group of what we got returning and say, these are the kids we're going to win with, and anything they provide, the freshmen provide, will be additional. So.
Great year, exciting year, a historic year for the volleyball program here at Morehead State University. Greg, appreciate you when you got a pinch hit for Jamie.
Not a problem.
Hopefully
Anytime.
we can continue this next year and get you in a little bit more. You dress a lot better than he does. So.
Well, someone has to.
Greg Gorel, Associate Head Coach of Morehead State Volleyball Team. We'll come back. We'll have a special guest from the volleyball team when we return on the Eagles Sports Coaches Show. Welcome back to the Eagles Sports Coaches Show from the Side Street Grill. We'll be taking you on the radio side up to about the top of the hour as Morehead State will take on Xavier in women's college basketball. We have a volleyball member, and I'll let you introduce yourself, tell you where you're from, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Annie Gruenschlager. I'm from Fort Thomas, Kentucky. I'm a junior here at Morehead State. Time rewarding. I like it.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. Ohio Valley Conference regular season title, the tournament title, and going to NCAA. A lot of hard work went in.
Yeah, it did. It was a long road. We had the whole team here from the beginning of July for summer 2 classes, dedication from the very beginning, but we also talked about our goal the entire time. We talked about it the first day of July. Our goal was to get to the NCAA tournament, and that was our focus the whole year. Every game was one more step closer to the NCAA tournament, and I think that's how we achieved our goal, was the constant reminder that that was our goal and we can do it.
Set a record 19-1 within the league, a very tough league to win a title, but making history at that too.
Yeah, it was exciting. We dropped that match to EIU kind of mid-season, but it got us back on track again, making the focus. Every game is getting us better. We came out that next match against SIUE and really laid it on them and got back on track to where we wanted to be. And it was just, this season was awesome. It was, like we keep saying, historical.
You know, you have 2 seniors on this club, Liz and Emma. What do they bring to the table for you underclass people?
Well, Emma is if anyone's ever been to a game, she's very intense. If she gets a block or a kill, she's going to celebrate. And she brings that leadership and that fire and that focus to the court every time she steps out. And Liz is the same way. If she, when she's excited and she's going to work her butt off to get to the balls. And they both bring fire and energy and both great leaders.
I know now, since you're a junior heading into your senior year, you and your junior classmates going to have to take over that leadership role.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. They've both filled the leadership role very well in different ways, and we're going to have to find a way to fill that, but I think we can do it.
Tell us a little bit about now, since the season's over with, and you're a chemistry major. Finals are next week. I know that they have you on a strict policy academically throughout the season, but it must be a little catch-up time here in the books.
Yeah, it is. I was actually just talking earlier, and usually we've gotten to the OVC tournament, and that's as far as we go, and we have 3 weeks. But now we got to the NCAA tournament, and it's 1 week until exams, and it's playing a lot of catch-up, but it was worth it.
Come July, when you all come back on campus, you know now what it takes to get into the NCAA. That'll have to help you as you prepare for the next season.
I think so. After the game, we viewed it as this is one more step. Now we've made it to the NCAA. Let's raise our goal a little more. Next year, let's win a match in the NCAA tournament. Get to that point where we're competing consistently with the bigger conferences and winning the preseason matches against the bigger teams to put us in a better position when it comes to the NCAA tournament again.
Well, we appreciate you getting here, Annie. We appreciate the effort from you and your teammates all year. Now you can really tell us so. Greg is a better dresser than Jamie all year, right?
Oh, look at him. He had his sweater vest on. He looked really nice. He did. This isn't normal attire for him.
So how is it? We won't tell anybody. We'll shut the camera off. How is it to play for Coach Gordon?
It's awesome. He always brings the energy and the intensity to the court, always expects us to work hard, do our best, and he always gets the best out of us, as does Greg.
Annie, always a pleasure.
Thank
Appreciate
you
you
very
coming.
much.
We'll come back. We'll talk a little basketball. We've recapped the volleyball season here from the Side Street Grill. We'll come back with more on this edition of the Eagles Sports Coach. Welcome back to the Side Street Grill in the Adrian Dorn University Center here on the Morehead State campus. This edition of the Eagles Sports Coaches Show. Johnny Tyndall has joined us, men's basketball coach here at MSU. And, Coach, played a couple games last week, one on the road, and you finally got home. I'm surprised you didn't take him to a motel before Sunday's game just to get him used to it.
Yeah, we had 2 good games, Jason. I thought we played a very good Kent State team on the road who's already beaten West Virginia. I think they're off to a 7 or 8-1 start, and they have a great program. And we were right there the first half. We were down, I think 6 or 8 at half. We were tied 24-24 with about 3 minutes to go in the half, and then the second half just didn't come out and compete the way we wanted to the final 20 minutes. But I thought even though you lose on the road against a quality opponent, our team showed some different things that it hadn't shown to that point. After the Kent State game, Jason, our schedule out of 345 Division I schools was ranked 12th in America. So it's been a very challenging schedule. As you know, 7 of our first 8 on the road, and it was very good to get home Sunday against a mid-continent team who I always say, you never want to talk down about an opponent, but that's a game you should win. We were a little bit sluggish the first 15 minutes, played a lot better the last 25 minutes, and got out of there with a nice win. And I think this next 2 weeks is very important for our team. We have 2 big games, Wednesday and Saturday at home against quality competition. And we have the week of final exams where we can just practice and concentrate on academics as we get ready and get closer to conference play. So it's very important the next couple of weeks to continue to improve.
I know that Kent State, when you play up at the MAC, that's the name of the gym. That's a very tough place to play. They don't lose a lot, and as you said, one of the premier MAC programs.
Well, it is. They've won. When you think about this, 20 games for 14 of the last 15 years. So they're one of those major programs that we're striving to be. We certainly are gaining ground on them compared to where we were 5 years ago with 3 straight 20-win seasons. But at this level, with scheduling is what it is, and to win 20-plus games, 14 out of 15 years, that's truly remarkable. So they do. They have a great program. They have a great home court advantage like we've created here ourselves, and hopefully our home court advantage will kick in on Wednesday against another really good team in Illinois State that comes out of a very strong basketball league in the Missouri Valley.
Well, you mentioned Mid-Continent, and we have to give Winston Bennett's kids a lot of credit. They came in and they played hard. Even when we got the big lead down the stretch, former Kentucky player in Winston Bennett, coached at Kentucky State, at this program now, the fact that they played hard. This was their Super Bowl.
Well, it was, and that's exactly what we told our team, was this was their Super Bowl game. We're the one Division I opponent on their schedule. Winston does a great job. Their kids played extremely hard, and it wasn't easy. Again, with about 5 minutes to go in the half, it was a tie game, and we stretched it to 10 at halftime, and then did a pretty nice job in the second half. But his kids never quit competing, and those are the types of games you want in your non-Division I games, a team that's going to battle and compete for 40 minutes. And our kids had to compete to win, and then we were able to play some guys off the bench some minutes as well.
You mentioned you were tied. They actually had the lead. You tied it. You scored the last 12 in a row, and you hold them scoreless for the last 3:07. After that 4-minute media timeout, the defense, you kind of turned it up on them. They turned it over a little bit, and they hadn't been doing. But that was the difference in getting you the lead and getting you to the second half.
Well, no question. And I think, again, we always seem to make a run or two each half in our press, and we were able to turn them over a little bit in our press late in that half. Maybe they were wearing down a little bit, and when we made our run to close the half, no question, that stretched the game out a little bit and gave us a little cushion that fortunately we never relinquished.
I know the fact that you're through 9 games now. The rotation is starting to come a little more. But we also saw Jeff Drew get to play his first minutes of the season, and it was strange seeing that 35 jersey out there and somebody else in it.
Yeah, Jeff's a big, long, athletic guy, and he just unfortunately had some bad luck. He was sick the first 2 weeks of the season. When I say sick, he had surgery from a ruptured appendix. Comes back, so he's a little bit behind in regard to conditioning, trying to play catch-up. Then he breaks his thumb. He was out about 4 or 5 weeks with that. And so it's hard for a big guy that hasn't been able to practice very much to find his way, especially a freshman. But he's working hard. I wanted to throw him in there a few minutes and just see. I don't think he necessarily did enough to beat anybody out. But you never know when a guy's going to get injured or something comes up that he's going to have to step in and play. Plus, it's just good to get him a few minutes of game experience so that hopefully he'll continue to work hard and practice. And the same goes for Will Bailey. And, I've got about our top 7 guys in mind of where we're at with guys, Jason. But those last couple, 2 or 3 spots are still kind of up in the air right now.
I think your youngs and your newcomers are adapting. I think you can see it in glimpses, and I think they'll turn it around once they get more accustomed to your style. They've shown some signs while you brought them here.
Well, they have. A guy like Milton Chavis gets 13 and 6 in 13 minutes. Those are good numbers, but what the normal everyday fan doesn't see is he probably gives up about 23 in 13 minutes. Not really, but the defensive lapses and the missed blockouts that are so critical in winning close games are things that are holding Milton back. Drew Kelly's been really good at times, but then there's been games where he's in foul trouble and turning it over, and that's not being critical or throwing those guys under the bus, but we need those guys to be good players. Khalil Owens at Kent State was really good, then comes back against Mid-Continent, and he's inconsistent, didn't play as well. So it's just getting everybody to play. They don't have to play perfect, but just play with great energy and great passion every single opportunity they get, and we'll be fine. But you're right, we've made progress. I'm really pleased with Angelo Warner. I thought he played fantastic. 9 rebounds for a wing player in any game is very, very good. But he's continuing to get more confident and smarter with the ball. He can shoot it. He's a nice athlete. He's tough for a freshman, so he's going to help us.
I think if you take a look at the stat sheet, you only have one player scoring in double figures. But you have a lot of them bunched up, which proves that your talent level is right there, and it's going to be who gets hot at that night or who earns the playing time in practice that's going to be out on the floor.
Well, no question. I think we have 5 or 6 guys that are capable of scoring 15 points in any game. You got Hill, Profit, Drew Kelly, Milton Chavis, Marcel Holden, Angelo Warner. That's 6, maybe 7 if you add a guy like Khalil Owens occasionally that can get you 14 or 15 on a given night. They're not going to average that, of course, but we have some different guys that can step up, and that's the nice thing about our team. I do think we'll have some depth. We just have to establish that consistency.
Well, you get to play home twice more, as you said. Illinois State comes to town on Wednesday night. 7 o'clock will be the tip-off, 6:45 airtime. Then a South Dakota team will come to town on Saturday at 7 o'clock before you go to Binghamton on Monday, and then Ball State wrapping out the prior Christmas schedule on the 23rd. So a lot of good action at Johnson Arena for our fans to see.
Well, no question. Illinois State's a very good Missouri Valley team. They played Illinois right to the wire earlier in the year. They're athletic. They can score it. They're a very good shooting team, so that's going to be a great challenge. Then South Dakota is kind of just the opposite of Illinois State, and that they're not as long and as athletic, but they're big and strong and physical. Maybe one of the most physical teams will play this year. And so both teams will bring a little bit something different to the table. As you mentioned, go on the road to New York to play Binghamton and come back against the Ball State team who's picked to win their side of the MAC, where Kent State was picked to win the other side. So some good basketball against quality teams, and we need every fan we can possibly get to come out and support us. As I said at our Moorhead Hysteria, we may need our fans and the support this year more than ever before, just to help get these new guys and young guys acclimated and a little bit of confidence on our home floor.
Once again, Wednesday night, Illinois State at 7 o'clock. Saturday, South Dakota will come to town. And then on the 23rd, Ball State will enter Johnson Arena for a 6 o'clock game. Donnie, we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thank you, Jake.
Men's basketball coach Donnie Tyndall will come back with more. This is the Eagle Sports. Welcome back to the Side Street Grill for this edition of the Eagle Sports Coaches Show. Of course, at the top of the hour on the radio side, you'll be hearing all the action as Moorhead State visits Xavier in women's college basketball action. So before that, and since we do have a time machine here at the Side Street Grill, we'll talk to Tom Hodges a little bit. And, Coach, great game Saturday night. Wright State came to town, and the young ladies really put a lot of emotion into a win.
Well, thank you, Jay. I really appreciate it. Before we got started talking about us, certainly need to congratulate our volleyball team on an unbelievable season. Coach Gordon and those fine young ladies really set the standard, not just for volleyball, but for all athletic programs this season. And then to Coach Tyndall for earning his 100th win. here at Morehead State. So great things are going on right now in the athletic department and in the program. We're just hoping to live up and pull our share of the load.
Well, you continue the hard schedule that you've played throughout. Before we get to Wright State, let's talk about UAB. They come to town and
Right.
hard-fought game, just, another game that the shots just didn't fall.
Right. Well, moreover than that, the pace was just not to our advantage to start the game. The talk that we had at halftime was we had to start forcing the action. We were on our heels way too much, and that was a combination of things coming out of New Mexico, maybe a little fatigue, but really we were just on our heels. We were letting other teams and UAB at the moment dictate us instead of us dictating them, and felt like in the second half we really were the aggressor, and we took the action to their side of the floor, and that carried over to Wright State.
Of course, UAB improves to 4-2 with a 70-47 win over the Eagles last Wednesday. Mike Bradbury, former coach, as we talked about, comes to town on Saturday. A lot of the players a little emotional because he's the one that recruited them, and they were talking before the game. But once that game started, there were no friendships anymore because your young ladies came out and really had a good 78-63 win.
No question about it. And that's a game where you can throw records and stats out the window because there's so much emotion. Even though we've only got really 3 young ladies that were directly involved. Our sophomore class was recruited by Coach Bradbury and his staff, and I'm glad they were to be here. But that was a game where certainly there was a little extra emotion, a little extra incentive going into it, and it came at the right time for us. We really needed to get off the snide and get back in the win column. Felt like Wright State was at least the second best, maybe the third best team we had played, including a top 10 team in Kentucky. So it was a great win for our program, get us back on the right track, and get ready for Xavier.
Dixon legend Linda had 23 points, including 5 3-pointers. Ashar Harris again just doing it time after time, 16 points, 17 rebounds, 14 of those defensive rebounds, and 6 assists against Wright State.
Yeah, for Ashar to have 6 assists to 3 turnovers was a tremendous, tremendous advantage for us. She was aggressive in the paint and really dictated things. We were able to get her on some post touches. Linda played extremely well. Courtney, stats haven't been great, but what doesn't show up on a stat sheet is her tremendous leadership and just doing a great job leading our young kids and our freshman and sophomore class. So really proud, especially proud for those 3 young ladies to get that victory.
And as you said, you got your style, I think, approaching what you want and what you'll take for the rest of the year.
Absolutely. We've got to force action. We've got to make the game up and down. We've got to ugly it up a little bit. We can't allow a team to set up in a half-court offense, what we call break their practice habits. We want to take another team that obviously spends a lot of time working on a half-court pattern or half-court set. We want to totally disrupt and dismantle that, playing in the full court. While they might have some success initially, what we're gambling on is over the long haul, we'll wear you down and able to have some success going away.
Tom Hodges is our guest on the Eagles Sports Coaches Show and kind of a pregame show as well. And, Coach, tonight you take on a Xavier team that has been to the NCAA tournament 10 times the last 5 years in a row, and a great tradition in women's basketball.
No question about it. Kevin McGuff really, and before him, Melanie Balcom, who's now at Vandy, but Kevin McGuff went into Xavier and made that program a national power. They recruited at an unbelievably high level. I was fortunate enough to play on some or be on the bench of some teams that played those teams that were ranked in the top 5 in the country, and they were dominant when they had Tashia Phillips and Amber Harris inside, Dee Dee Jernigan. They made the run in the Elite Eight, were within 2 layups, had 2 point-blank layups of going to the Final Four. So all those kids have graduated now, but you see residual effects. You don't play and compete at that high level and just totally fall off the map. What happened to them was they had to schedule so tough because nobody wanted to play them. Now those return games are catching up with them. They're 2-4, but Jason, they played an unbelievably tough schedule. They played Stanford, they played South Carolina, they played Cincinnati. They played a really tough schedule. So and played and been involved and been in every single one of those games. So we've got our wagon loaded for sure with a good Xavier team.
Having 8 players that they have in the rotation, 1 player out with an ACL all season, waiting to get another player back. So they're not shorthanded talent-wise, but
No.
the number-wise, they've only played 8 all year.
Right. They only dress 8 young ladies, which is certainly tough, very similar to what situation we were in last year. So I certainly sympathize with Coach Wall in her first year of getting that thing going. But all 8 of their young ladies are extremely high level. They were all all-state kids. They were all highly, highly recruited, some of them even All-Americans. Amber Gray transferred from the University of Tennessee. Just extremely high talent level. So we'll have to come from the tip, focus again on the start. I thought Wright State, we got off to a good start, and that allowed us to stay in that game and push it on out, contradictory to how games have been starting for us. So we certainly need to follow that pattern, that game plan tonight.
And, of course, playing, 7, 8, 9 players as you do could be to your advantage tonight, because I know they're in great shape with only 8 players, but you have a lot of young ladies that you can come off the bench with.
No question about it. The one thing when you watch them on tape is Xavier, they don't want to foul, obviously. They're just so short-handed. So, and they want to keep the game at a pretty slow pace. So the 2 things that I feel like we do well, Jason, is run and foul. Those are 2 things that we've almost got to a science. So we're going to get up and down the floor. We're going to foul a little bit and hopefully bait them into getting into that game with us. And if we do, then it'll be to our advantage.
And I know the fact the last couple of games you played at home, the shots starting to fall a little bit more. I mean, not only the friendly confines of Johnson Arena, but we knew we couldn't keep the pace that we were shooting at, because at times I think you were going to pull your hair out.
Well, we got more shots.
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to the law of averages. If you shoot it more, you're just bound to make more. And that's one of our cornerstones of the program, and our philosophy is if we just keep chipping away and keep shooting it, eventually they're going to go in, and we gain some confidence from that. So certainly got to set the pace, and really the pace for us starts on the defensive end, and then we can get the offensive pace up.
Of course, you add to your schedule after tonight the fact that you go to Pittsburgh on Sunday to take on a loaded Duquesne team.
Absolutely. Duquesne, which was picked second in the Atlantic 10. Susie McConnell-Serio, they've won 20 games, I think, the last 4 or 5 years ever since she's been there. She's a Hall of Fame point guard, and you can see that in her team. They've got like a 6-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, which is just unheard of. Be a tremendous, tremendous challenge for us. But, again, this is exactly what our basketball team needs. Exactly. It's been tough. We've played a tough schedule. But this is going to result in something great for this basketball team. What we've got to do is continue to preach that to our young ladies so they know that we're in it for the long haul. They're not handing any championships out in December. They won't hand any out in Cincinnati. They won't hand any out in Pittsburgh. We're playing for Nashville. Like we said, we got to go 1.8 miles a day. As long as we're going 1.8 miles a day every day, that'll land us in Nashville for an OVC championship.
Of course, Xavier tonight, Duquesne on Sunday, and then the Eagles return home on Sunday the 18th as Robert Morris will come to town. Game time is set for 12 noon. Good luck tonight.
Thank you, Jay.
Tom Hodges, and that's going to do it for this edition of the Eagles Sports Coaches Show. Until next week, I'm Jason Blanton for our radio producer, Ian Corbin. So long, everybody.